Welcome to Brain Vision.
Okay, so today I'm going to be going over Chapter 1, Problem 1. The problem states, starting with the definition, 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. Find the number of A, kilometers in 1 mile, and B, feet in 1 kilometer. So what we're going to be using for this problem is the concept of unit multipliers. And what that means is we have units that we need to turn into other units. So I want to turn these inches into miles, since those are both British units. I'm going to turn centimeters into kilometers because of those are our international system units. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say to myself, okay, I have an inch and I want to turn that into a mile, but I don't know exactly how many inches are in a mile. So I'm going to first make the step of multiplying this side of the equation by our unit multiplier. And we're going to turn this into feet first, because then we can take another unit multiplier to get from feet to miles. So in order to do that, I'm going to multiply by 1 foot divided by 12 inches. And the reason I want to do it like this is because if I treat this 1 inch as a fraction of 1 inch over 1, you can see that we have inches in numerator and inches in denominator there, so that we can say that these inches units will cancel out, and what we're left with is 1/12 of a foot. And that makes sense to us. We didn't change the left side of the equation. It is still the same length. 1/12 of a foot is 1 inch, but now we have it in units closer to what we want, miles. So I'm going to go to the right side of the equation now, and now we could figure out how many centimeters are in a kilometer. However, I'm going to take the step of moving to the base unit of meters first. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to multiply by unit multiplier such that we can get meters to be left over and centimeters to cancel out. So I'm going to put 1 meter on top, and I know that I need to have this unit multiplier to be something equal to 1. I can't multiply this side of the equation by something not equal to 1 if I multiply this side of the equation by something that was equal to 1. So I'm going to multiply this by 1 meter over 100 centimeters. Those two values are equal, so that fraction is equal to 1. But then again, we have numerator and denominator cancel out. So what we're left with is 2.54 divided by 100 of a meter. So I'm going to rewrite all this down here. And then I'm going to make the next step. So we can figure out how many feet are in a mile. We can look that up. So the number of feet in a mile we know is 5,280. So I'm going to use another unit multiplier to turn this left side of the equation into some amount of miles. So again, I have a feet in the numerator, so I want to have something with feet in the denominator and miles in the numerator. That's going to be what's left over. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 1 mile, and the number of feet in that mile is 5,280. And that's our unit multiplier. Okay, and then so again, these feet units will cancel out. And what we'll be left with is some number of miles. So it's pretty close to what we want. And then we have meters over here that we want to turn into kilometers. So again, our unit multiplier is going to be kilometers over meters, because we again want the meters to cancel out. And we can figure out from looking at a table in our book that 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. So again, this unit multiplier is going to be equal to 1, and the meters cancel out. So what we're left with is some number of kilometers equal to some number of miles. So now we want to make sure that the equality actually matches what we want to get in the end. We want how many kilometers are in 1 mile. So if we rewrite this all, if we rewrite this all, we can then see that these are just numbers in front of units. So we can then multiply both sides of the equation by the same number so that we can isolate this so it's only 1 mile. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into 1. I need to multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply by 5,280 times 12 over 1. And we'll see again that this all cancels out. So we're just left with 1 mile. And on the right-hand side of the equation, we have to write the same thing. We have to multiply by the same thing. We can't do different things to either side. We can't multiply by a different number, that is. Okay, so what we have is 1 mile is equal to some number of kilometers. So this is all stuff we can now plug into our calculator. And what you would get is that you would get something along the lines of 1.6093. However, in a later section of this chapter, you'll see that we'll learn about significant figures and precision. So what we do is we round that to the same number of decimal points that were given previously. So it's the same accuracy. So we'll have 1.61 kilometers as our final solution. Okay, so now for part B is to find a number of feet in 1 kilometer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a step from what I had before in order to find how many feet are in 1 kilometer. So if we note this, back up here in this step, if I had not multiplied by this unit multiplier, I would have had 1/12 of a foot equal to some number of kilometers. So those are the units we want already. So then I can rewrite that, and I can use that in order to figure out how many feet are in a kilometer. So I'm just going to rewrite that real quick. And again, this is just as if I had done the same steps as before, except for not turning feet into miles. So now we have some number of kilometers equal to some number of feet. And I'm going to, again, just multiply the right-hand side of the equation by the reciprocal of this number here, so that that will then become 1 kilometer. And again, these will cancel out, so I'm just left with 1. But I have to do the same thing to the right-hand side of the equation. I'm going to multiply again by 100 times 1,000 over 2.54. And so again, we just have some number of feet. And at this point, you can plug that into your calculator. And what I get is 3,280.84 feet. However, due to, again, later in this chapter, we only had 2 decimal points of precision now. So we need to make sure we round that to 2 decimal points here. And we can use scientific notation that 10 to some n exponent multiplier in order to rewrite feet to be in a proper amount of precision that we had at the beginning of the problem. So in this case, that's going to be 3.28 times 10 to the 3rd feet is equal to 1 kilometer. And that is our solution.